These are just the 4 documents that you're going to be sending to the carrier that you've just recruited. You're only going to send these documents the initial time you recruit a new carrier. Hey Clovers, welcome back. I miss y'all. I hope y'all miss me. This is episode 5 of the Ultimate Guide to Freight Dispatching, and this is going to be going over all the necessary documentation that you'll be sending and receiving from your carrier. So let's jump right into it. So to kick everything off, let's talk about why it's important to even talk about the documentation. I know y'all hearing all this stuff about, oh, this is important, this is important, this is important. Well, because it actually is important, so y'all better be paying attention. I ain't talking for my own good.
Why aren't you understanding?
This is definitely important because you only need to do this the initial time that you are recruiting a new carrier. This is only for new carriers. You'll only need to set up with them one time. After that, the information that you get from their initial dispatcher or carrier setup is the information that you're going to use repeatedly. It's never going to change. And if you do have changes, the carrier will definitely keep you updated. The information that you get from the dispatcher carrier setup is the exact information that you're going to be putting on the broker carrier agreements when you're booking loads for the new carrier. You're going to create a profile for them on your computer, and you're going to use the same information repeatedly. So let's get into it. I'm gonna explain the documents a little bit more, but now y'all know why it's important. Now follow me over here. The first document we're gonna go over is the dispatcher carrier agreement. And I know y'all like this whiteboard. It's the same height as me, and I like that a lot because I like standing up. So now we got this. But anyway, so the dispatcher carrier agreement, this is probably the most important document that you need to make sure that you execute perfectly. This is nothing more than an agreement between you and the carrier outlining your responsibilities and the carrier's responsibilities as well. So it'll be putting on like the standard of what they should expect from your dispatching company and what you should expect from that carrier. This is also where you're going to put how much you are expecting to receive as far as payment percentages go. You'll also be requesting other documentation at the end of the dispatcher carrier agreement. So rule number 1 is make sure you have this executed perfectly, because this is basically like the contract that you'll have with your carrier to let them know like, hey, I'm responsible for finding the load, completing the paperwork for the load, booking the load, dispatching the load out, and in return, you're responsible for maintaining your truck insurance and paying me out.
Tell them to bring me my money.
Make sure you're paying me because it's going to be in that agreement that you sign and date. So that's why the dispatcher carrier agreement is extremely important. Document number 2 y'all gonna need, and this is all a part of the dispatcher carrier setup. If a carrier ever asks you like, can you send me your setup or whatever they say, that is all referring to these documents being sent and received. So document number 2 is the carrier profile. This is nothing more but that trucking company's business and equipment information clearly outlined. So it'll have the truck type, the truck length, the truck weight, all of that good stuff. It'll also have if the carrier wants to be OTR, local, if they only want to go up to 350 miles. It'll have all of that information on there, and that's also where you're going to have the carrier put if they have any special certifications. Hazmat, TWIC, anything like that will also be on the carrier profile sheet. And it's helpful to have this pulled up when you're booking loads for that carrier so you can find loads that meet the specific criteria that that carrier has set for you on the carrier profile sheet. Alright, we're going to get into it with document number 3. Okay, so these next 2 documents are optional, but I always recommend that you send them because it's better to be safe than to be sorry. So make sure you send these. The next thing you're going to want to send is a blank W-9. 9 times out of 10, they're going to give you whatever W-9 they already filled out at the beginning of the year, and that's perfectly fine. I just send it just in case they haven't filled one out for the year that we're currently in. So you can't use a W-9 from like 2022 if we're in 23. So as long as the W-9 is updated to the year, you're good to go. And the next thing I want to point out is this is nothing more than just their IRS form. So this is what they're going to use to collect taxes. I think it's a W-2, W-4, whichever one you get when you work a regular job and you fill out your tax information. This is that, but for entrepreneurs. This is for 1099 workers. So it's important to have this on file because when you're filling out the broker carrier agreement, it's going to ask you to complete a W-9, and you're not completing it with your business information. You're using the W-9 you received from your carrier to complete that segment of the broker carrier agreement.
All I need is you.
Number 4 is credit card authorization form. this one is also optional. Emphasis on optional, because y'all be trying to come for me over my opinion. That's what be killing me. How y'all gonna ask me for help when I get help you don't want the help? It be real confusing, but I still love y'all. I love y'all with all of my heart.
Alright, I'm a fault with.
Alright, bro.
But anyway, this one is optional. Now, you are going to get some kickback behind it. You might lose a couple of carriers behind it. That will let you know a lot about that carrier and their characteristics more than you actually even imagine. So this is optional, but it's kind of a requirement if you ask me. This is the only guarantee as a freight dispatcher that you will receive payment for the loads that you dispatch. The question I always get is, well, how many times have you had to use it? Is it common that people don't pay their dispatcher? No, it's not common at all. I've literally never had to use, well, that's not true. I've had to use the credit card authorization form one time, but that was just one bad Apple carrier out of 3 years. That's not that bad if you ask me. So this is optional, but it's like your safety net. This is just saying that if your carrier does not pay you by the payment date that you guys agreed to in your dispatcher carrier agreement, then at that point you can use this credit card authorization form to take whatever your payment was from their account. And you would do like a virtual charge to it, but you would still be able to receive your full payment for the week without having to go through court, trying to sue the carrier to get you to pay, blah, blah, blah. So I just recommend that everybody has a credit card authorization form on file and make sure you do a test run on that account. I would definitely withdraw about $1 out of the carrier's account every time I got a new one, just to make sure that the card was open and active, because anybody can put some numbers on the paper. So you always want to make sure you are double checking to make sure that card is even active and has money in it. After that, I literally put this form up. I will never ever use this unless the carrier gives me a reason to. So as long as they're making your payments on time and paying the invoice on time, you will never use this form. But you do want to have one just in that folder, because you never know. Things happen, people forget, whatever the case may be, and you might have to charge them. But you don't want to not get paid for your services either. So it's just highly recommended on my end. Make sure you got a backup plan, and your backup plan is this credit card authorization form. Make sure y'all are commenting these questions. Like every question I have honestly made a video about it in recent times. So if you do comment a question, I'm making a video about it to give you a full explanation. I can't do that if you ain't commenting no questions. So make sure y'all commenting some questions. I love y'all. I love this. Let's talk about it some more. These are just the 4 documents that you're going to be sending to the carrier that you just recruited. You're only going to send these documents the initial time you recruit a new carrier. I keep saying that because I want you guys to listen to what I'm saying. You do not need to do this multiple times. You're just doing this for that one time that you need a new carrier that wants to sign up with you. And honestly, the documentation is really not that hard to go over or anything like that. And I am about to be releasing those templates too. So if you do need extra help with as far as like, how do I structure it? What does it need to say? What does it look like? Click the link in the description. In order to get the templates for all of the documentation that we just went over, they are fill and sign. So all you would have to do is input your business information and print it out, and you all good to go. These are just the documentation that you're going to be sending to your carrier initially. This is part 1. Part 2, we're going to be doing a live stream, because I know y'all like those. We're going to do a live stream about the documentation that you should be receiving from your carrier as well. And before we wrap up, I just want to say y'all, like genuinely from the bottom of my heart, thank y'all so much for all of the support. I genuinely love every single last 34,600. I don't even know how many we got no more, but I love all of y'all.